up with a surge like what happened after Christmas. But in addition to that, we also want to learn a bit about the current situation of our management of the virus, the vaccine situation. Some of you have questions about side effects and so forth. We want to see if we can get some answers for you today. All right, so that's all to come. Also, Enimwa is out in Kanishi. She's about to highlight something that has been happening for so long as part of our Drive Safe campaign. We want to shed a light on this horrible practice that trotro drivers have of taking up two of the three lanes in Kanishi on the big dual carriageway. Two of the three lanes have been taken up by trotro drivers. Why is it even allowed? And why are they there? What do they think they are doing when they take up these lanes that are meant for moving traffic? Okay, anymore, we'll find out from them shortly. We'll be connecting to them as soon as we get through. But before that, Orca Deco's Easter Extravaganza is back. And that's the Easter Egg Extravaganza, okay? And last year, of course, Orca celebrated Easter behind closed doors. We were all apart from each other, and that is why this year Orca Deco is offering us a smashing 15% discount off absolutely everything in store this Easter. Yeah, okay, 15% off everything. Hey, 15, that's half of 30%. Where? So from Friday to Monday, come and shop for our products from Contesse sofas, dining sets, garden sofas and accessories, carpets, toys, household linen, cushions, kitchen, bathroom and decor items. What's more, Orca Deco is inviting you, your family and friends to come celebrate the season of Easter with lots of giveaways, discounts and fun activities to make up for last year's Easter. Visit Orca Deco today. They're off the Spintex Road in Accra, and their showrooms are open on Good Friday from 9:30 till 7 p.m. and on Easter Monday from 1 p.m. till 7. Orca Deco, your products in Sorunko. All our products are unique. If you're thinking Easter, think Orca. So you can now do more with Absa Banking in a flash. You can make free instant money transfers, free mobile money transfers up to 100 Ghana cedis every day. You can pay bills, buy airtime, make payments, all with your Absa Vertical card. And also, you can make cash deposits on their ATMs. Enjoy convenient banking as you stay safe with your loved ones. Remember to sanitize or wash your hands after the use of any e-banking device. Absa cares, so stay safe. If you want to know more, go to absa.com. Absa.com.gh, sorry. Terms and conditions apply. Now, as always, MTN wants you to experience the safest and most secure way to enjoy MTN Momo. And that is why from the 2nd of April 2021, you will be required to present a valid national ID card anytime you visit a Momo agent point to perform a transaction. Please note, this is to help you keep receiving cash and just handling your transactions in a safe and secure way. That's why we're good together. Just Momo it. Everywhere you go. All right. So, let's see if we can get to this conversation about vaccines as we broaden our COVID and Easter topic. Okay, so it's all brought to you by Star Ghana and UK Aid. And we're joined via Zoom by somebody who's been studying public health for quite a while and is giving us some wonderful insights from his experience and knowledge. Nana Kofi Kwache is research fellow and a doctoral candidate and adjunct assistant professor at New York University's School of Global Public Health. So, Nana Kofi, before the break, you were telling us what you think about how we're managing the gathering of crowds and so forth, and the enforcement of that law. Let's turn our minds to vaccines. At the moment, there is a problem across the world in providing vaccines. Almost every country has some difficulty or the other. Those who have ordered, some have just not received their order, even though they have the money and are ready to pay for it, or in some cases have already paid for it. Ghana, so far, has relied on what we got for free. We're supposed to order some, but what are our chances really? And what should our strategy be of ensuring that whatever the queue is, we can jump ahead of it and get the requisite vaccines for our people?
Well, that's a good question and a difficult conversation, especially when you are a low middle income country. The reality is that the queues that exist are there simply because of a more or less artificial supply source. Most of the vaccines that were created here, most of the vaccines that have been developed, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, most of them use taxpayer money from the United States, from Europe, and around the world to actually develop those medications. And many of them were tested in trials that were funded by taxpayers as well. However, after the vaccines have been proven effective and are going to mass production, a lot of the manufacturers now are prioritizing, their own interests over the question of global public health equity and vaccine access. So those queues are quite challenging. There are a lot of countries out there seeking, to get a dose of a very limited supply of vaccines. And even those that have money, as you rightly said, are having a hard time getting their doses delivered. Ghana has the double disadvantage here of not having sufficient financial, power to really go out there and negotiate or bargain for vaccines to jump the queue. And we also have limited political capital because we're going up in these queues against the USAs, the UKs, the Switzerland, the Canadas of the world, who are also going out there to make their own bilateral deals. And it means that some of our best options are going to be the multilateral deals like COVAX, and importantly, like what the African Union is doing through the African Vaccine Acquisition Task Team. They've been able to so far get MOU signed for about 700 million doses. The challenge here again is that they are facing the same problem as a bloc as we're facing as individual countries in Africa, where as of March 12th, not one single dose of those vaccines had actually been delivered to the AU. So we are looking at a very extended vaccine rollout, and especially with recent news coming out of India that, they who are providing AstraZeneca doses to COVAX are now withholding exports until they've gotten their situation under control. It means that what we're expecting in March and April is also probably going to be delayed. All that means that, our timelines for when we're going to get full vaccination are going to be longer than our current plan anticipates, more likely than not. So it's important to bear that in mind that it will take maybe until next year. But as for what we can do, it comes down to really doubling down on political pressure at the international level through the African Union to see if we can get these, patents that the pharmaceutical companies are working with suspended, so that more global companies can manufacture that will lower price and increase access. But in terms of skipping the line per se, our options there are going to be quite limited.
So let me ask you this. I mean, there is how do I put it? These countries did something. The ones who are sort of in pole position, the ones who are likely to get vaccines in large numbers before anyone else. They got into that position either by investing in the development of these vaccines or in creating a situation where they were manufacturing the vaccines in their country, like India. So should Ghana be figuring out how to position themselves similarly? Should we be thinking of perhaps investing in some research and development of vaccines? Is there a way we can offer ourselves as a manufacturing location for vaccines? Are we eligible to do any such thing? Could we go that way to get ahead of the queue?
Well, again, for any of that to work, if we're talking about vaccine development, that means we would be beginning and going along the timelines that all these other manufacturers are going. So we'll be talking probably about a year or so of scientific work and trials and everything. So that would, it's a future question. It's not really a short-term option for us. And even for that, there's a question as to how many pharmaceutical companies in Ghana currently have the capacity to manufacture even, things like the adenovirus vaccine that Sputnik uses, or the type of vaccine that, the AstraZeneca vaccine uses, let alone the mRNA technology of Pfizer and Moderna. We just have very limited capacity there. That's not because we don't have brilliant scientists, Ghanaian born, Ghanaian educated here and around the world. It's because we don't have sufficient funding, as you said, in research and development and in the sciences in general, to move them beyond just to even get to academic research at scale, let alone move it towards academic research translation into industrial research. So we have that problem. That's a long-term problem we have to resolve because we will be back here again in 30, 40 years with the pandemic, and we should have learned lessons and be in a better position for that. But those other countries as well that you're referring to, they were able to do that because they had existing technology there, they had existing, infrastructure and scientific capacity there. But they also got a great deal of state funding. They got a great deal of public funding. And even those that weren't able to directly produce or research, like South Africa, were able to actually use the existing public health infrastructure to offer locations for trials of these vaccines, which kind of sped up their access somewhat to help them get ahead of the queue somewhat. So it's a question as to whether or not we can consider maybe hosting some trials, in the short term, or being open to that and seeing how that can maybe bump us up, a little bit in terms of access. But a lot of those things that would have given us the opportunity to be, further ahead in the line right now, if we even put aside our difficulties, financially and in terms of our bargaining powers a little bit in our country, um, those things would have had to happen, in November, September, October of last year. So right now the question is, what things can we do? How do we maneuver to get in the queue right now, or to speed up the queue? And in speeding up the queue, that has to do with supporting, global efforts being led by South Africa and India to really suspend these patterns. Because if these patterns are suspended, their facilities in Senegal, South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, that can come online and manufacture. That would increase our access and, by default, kind of speed up our how quickly we get them. But our position in the queue, there's not a lot we can do right now to change that.
Hmm. That's a bit depressing. Now, let's look at the current situation. We've got some free vaccines from COVAX, about 600,000 odd shots. We've already administered, according to the Ghana Health Service website, which I was looking at just a little while earlier. As we speak, we have already administered something like 490,000 doses. Just a little over 490,000 doses so far out of the 600,000. Very soon it'll be time for people to get their second doses. Do you envisage any way in which we can get more? Enough to give at least those we've dosed already their second doses in time?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, the window for second dose for the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is generally 8 to 12 weeks. That's what's been shown, it's been researched so far. That could change as more data comes out, but right now the upper limit looks like 12 weeks. COVAX had always pledged to get Ghana 2 million vaccines, actually 2,052,000 vaccines by the end of May. That was what they put out in their March 2nd publication of the initial allocation list in the first round of distribution. As I said earlier, subsequently, actually at last Thursday, Gavi, WHO, and CEPI communicated to participating countries that March and April deliveries should be slightly delayed because of India's decision to halt exports of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which we are getting from a supplier in India, the Serum Institute of India. So there's a slight delay here. That said, I don't envisage there being a delay so significant that we will not be able to get 600,000 doses in country in time to, give second rounds by May or June, because the window really for the second round, if you're looking at the 12-week extreme, it would mean that people could still be getting shots in June and late to the end of June and still be in the safe window. So it's something that I don't think that the current, statements by COVAX or Gavi suggest that we are going to anticipate that problem. But we also need to hear more from them and soon about what this delay means, because all we heard from them on Thursday in the official statement was that March and April delivery should be delayed. It wasn't clear as to how long, how quickly we'll get them. So we need those international agencies and their donor partners to be candid with us about what the timelines are so we can have that clarity. I'm not sure maybe that's been communicated privately to public health authorities, but in their public statements that they put out, There were no timelines there, and that's something that we ought to be mindful of. But as of now, I don't envisage a scenario where we will not have sufficient doses by end of May, end of June, at least 600,000 to do those second rounds. And of the 1.4 million we've been expecting to be delivered for the rest of the first half of this year.
Thank you for that. Kwame Sapon Asiru joins us. He needs no introduction whatsoever to our show. He's a pharmacist. He's also a fellow of CDD. Kwame, hello again. Thanks for your time.
Hello, good morning, Kojo, and thanks for having me once again. And good morning to everyone listening to us.
So, do you agree, that we're okay in terms of getting enough to do the second dose in good time? Because, I mean, there is a time within which it should be done. Are you of the view that Nana Kofi shared, that we are okay, we are definitely going to have more, or is the terrain more uncertain than we think?
Once again, good morning, Kojo. I would refer you to something I said in January when all this vaccine conversation started. And I was on your program where I said, I'm a pragmatist. And for someone who studies the movement of drugs in international commerce, the movement of pharmaceuticals in international commerce, I could see that the supply chains were constrained. And I remember then saying that based on the MOUs, the Memorandum of Understanding I had been seeing, COVAX wasn't going to kick in until Q2 at the earliest, which is around June.
Yes. I recall you saying that.
And yes, and I did explain the caveats around the statement I was making, which were that the countries that were doing the vaccine production were going to prioritize the lower and lower middle income countries. Unfortunately, around February, early March, what we saw was a near bloodbath for vaccines, especially started by the European Union. Then, India got involved, like Nana Kofi has said, bringing us to the point where he's alluded to the WHO Gavi and statement on Thursday, acknowledging that 90 million doses of vaccines have been delayed for COVAX. It also went on to address the risks therein for countries who were signed up to the COVAX platform and how they should behave in a vaccine-constrained environment. And that is key. This is the WHO acknowledging that we are in a vaccine-constrained environment. So I'll park that for now. Then yesterday, there was a conference call between Vladimir Putin, Angela Merkel, and Emmanuel Macron for the Sputnik vaccine. That should ring a bell. That is an acknowledgement by the European Union that they know that the current vaccines that they had relied on, be AstraZeneca, be Moderna, and Pfizer, was not going to lift the lid on their constraint. So that is very important, because you should bear in mind that Merkel and Macron were one of the people who actually slated the Russians when Sputnik came out, that they hadn't done enough clinical trials. And the eating of humble pie by the Europeans, left, right, and center in the last 3 weeks should be of importance to everybody. Because what it then means is that they are going to use their purchasing might, their soft power. And remember that a country like Russia is already under some form of sanctions from the European Union because of what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on in Syria. And therefore, would want to negotiate themselves out of this quagmire by using their vaccines. So there's a lot to this whole vaccine supply chain than most people who do not study the movement of drugs in international commerce would acknowledge. So to answer your question, do I think? Yes, I have a bit of what I call nuanced confidence. And what do I mean by nuanced confidence? If the WHO is saying that these are delayed in March and April, 90 million doses, and acknowledging their release that some countries on the COVAX platform haven't even received their first consignment. I am hopeful that those countries will receive their first consignment, and Ghana may just receive its second consignment on time because we were the first country to receive vaccines from COVAX. So that we may receive. As to whether it would be up to the 600,000 doses we received and therefore guarantee all second doses, I am not too sure, but I am hopeful. So this is how I would situate the entire confused flag state. You realize I haven't brought in China and the role they play, and there is Chile, which we can learn from. But as the conversation goes on, I'll bring those in.
Well, I mean, let's proceed in that direction, because at the moment, I think what is becoming clear is that Ghana, I mean, through no fault of ours, let's not try to make this political, through no fault of ours, Ghana finds itself in a situation where we cannot guarantee that we are going to get more vaccines on time. We cannot guarantee the numbers we're going to get. We just can't. We're not in a position to do that right now.
Kojo, when you say through no fault of ours, I disagree. And I disagree because there's an article I wrote on Saturday with my colleague Winnie Awa about the failings, not of Ghana, but of lower middle income countries. And that was why I said Chile teaches us a lot. Do you realize that currently Chile has overtaken the UK to become the third country with the largest vaccine coverage? Chile doesn't have a vaccine plant. Chile never did any vaccine development. Chile is not a rich country. But Chile, a country of 19 million people, has procured 88 million doses of vaccines. The question you should ask yourself is, how did Chile do it? And this is known. So I go back to that January conversation, and I remember talking about bilateral agreements to be part of vaccine research. And you can go and read about Chile. They opened up their country to vaccine research from Sinopharm, Sinovac, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and Novavax. And for every, company that went to produce and do research in Chile, they required that you did your production locally. So part of their memorandum of understanding was you couldn't make the vaccines in England if you were AstraZeneca, or United States if you were Moderna, or for that matter, Novavax, because they make their vaccines in Stockton-on-Tees, which is in the UK, even though they are an American company. You had to produce locally. What did that mean? By the time the trials ended, Chile had the production ability for their country. And therefore, when these vaccines got their emergency use authorization, Chile had the ability to produce, to the point that they have vaccines and are now supplying some countries in Latin America.
Eish.
Did Africa listen? Kojo, didn't I say this with my friend Yao on these programs, on Newsfile, on PM Express? So that is why I say that I wouldn't agree with you that it is through no fault of these countries. You can go to Thailand. Thailand has an entirely spanking new vaccine production facility built by the UK government because they went into an MOU with Oxford to produce, the AstraZeneca vaccine. Novavax, which is the latest kit, which is yet to come, has a production site in South Africa. So, Kojo, I have just too many examples by virtue of having knowledge in this area to show that it isn't true. And if you ask me, Ghana has the capacity. We have Noguchi. They've done it before. We have Kintampo. They've done it before. We have KCCI. They've done it before. We have Navrongo. They've done it before. So it's not that we haven't been in this game in the past and are new kids on the block. No, we aren't. And that is where a lot of countries in Africa dropped the ball. Only South Africa did this. And even with South Africa this morning, there has been a release that 15 million doses of Johnson & Johnson are being destroyed because there has been an ingredient mix-up. And therefore, even though South Africa is due to get vaccines next week, there will be a slight delay. But that's a bilateral agreement, so they can't be bothered. They'll still get the vaccines.
Yeah.
So, Kodo, you need to understand the supply chain to have an understanding of how these countries, yes, are where we are, but can learn a lot of things and can do things much, much better moving forward. Because like Nana Kofi said, another pandemic is on the horizon, and we shouldn't kid ourselves. It's going to happen.
Do you know, I think you've convinced me. You've moved me to your side of the argument, because I was willing to say that, look, the global, the push and pull factors are just, economics, and we find ourselves in this situation. But actually, you're right. We put ourselves in this situation, and we did it willfully. I'm afraid I have to agree with you. Forgive me for a minute while I make this point, because it's important. We've been doing this for a while, all the way back when Ebola was the threat. And there was an offer by pharmaceutical companies to come and do trials of the vaccine in Ghana. And we can't blame ignorance or illiteracy for this, because in Parliament, our parliamentarians in a debate that included former attorney generals, current defense ministers, talked about how if we allow an Ebola vaccine to be tried in Ghana, we are going to infect Ghanaians with Ebola. And that when one MP is traveling to his constituency and he passes through where the trials are going to be held, he will catch the virus, and then go and spread it to his constituents. We talked about that here in Ghana. And we have consistently had this attitude towards trials of vaccines. So we always find ourselves on the outside. Now there is an Ebola vaccine developed, coincidentally, by a team led by a Ghanaian in Germany. And now Ghana has to pay if we want that vaccine. We did the same thing with coronavirus. We placed ourselves out of the running. And now we are completely out of the market and having to hope and pray for vaccines, even though we can pay for it. Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest.
Kojo, let me add one thing to that quickly. I have emails, confidential, so I cannot share, but emails around the Ebola time between top executives of pharmaceutical companies who were producing the vaccine and senior leadership people of these pharmaceutical companies who are Ghanaians and who happen to be my friends. Emails, confidential emails. These people virtually at tears and surprised at what Ghana had done. If you read some of the emails, they break my heart. So when I see a country like Chile do this and do it with glee, the level of flair they've shown in doing it, quietly. United Arab Emirates did it with Sinopharm and Sinovac. Israel did it. Yes, you can say United Arab Emirates and Israel are rich, but United Arab Emirates are more conservative than Ghana. But how did they do it? Because they trusted their regulatory organization and their scientists. And I cannot labor the point more that I have so much confidence in our scientists when it comes to pharmaceutical research that I have in any politician or any Ghanaian for that matter. And so when you get to this point and I'm asked this question, I cannot help but be as open as possible with the information I have. And that is why I'd always give people the reference points so that they can read themselves, so that we can devoid ourselves from this school of thought that, oh, we get done to. We don't get done to. We don't make the decisions. And that is something that has to sink in. I remember at the start of COVID and coronavirus, I was telling people containment in itself, in a pandemic, it's not a strategy. This is public health documented language. But we felt by containing the virus, which is a good thing anyway, don't get me wrong, decreasing mortality, we can get ourselves out of the pandemic. That doesn't get you out of the pandemic if you don't have an exit strategy. Containment only allows you to figure out how you're going to exit a pandemic. But globally, even including Europe, we are still in containment. Yesterday, France has gone into a 3-week lockdown because they can't get vaccines.
Yeah. I think you really paint a picture there, Kwame. And look, we're talking to Kwame Sapong Asiedu, of course, needs no introduction. We're learning a little bit about the global situation and where Ghana is placed in all of this. Nana Kofi Kwache is also with us. He's a research fellow, doctoral candidate, and adjunct assistant professor at the New York University's School of Global Public Health. We're going to continue this conversation. There's a lot more to unpick and unpack in this one. So stay with us. Don't go far. Grab yourself a cup of tea or something, because there's more after these.
It's learning time! Hello, parents, children, and guardians. I bring you good news. Schools are open and safe. It's time to go back and learn in person with your favorite teachers. I know you are excited, and so are we. But hey, the Ghana Learning Radio is still ongoing, so stay tuned to the English lessons from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on all GBC stations, and for the Ghanaian languages lessons from 5 to 6 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays on your local radio station. Parents and guardians, send your children to school, and don't forget to ensure that all COVID-19 protocols are practiced regularly at home to facilitate the enforcement by teachers in school. It's time to go back to school and experience the physical learning education. Ghana Learning Radio. Learn to read, read to learn on all GBC radio stations nationwide. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education, GES, GBC, and supported by USAID.
Repeat on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays between 4 to 5 p.m.
Right, so the Super Morning Show continues, and we are going to get straight back into that conversation about the vaccines. We're learning a lot, but before that, I told you that there's something that's happening in Kaneshie. The trotro drivers have been taking up 2 of the 3 lanes of the highway there, creating traffic and causing hazards. Why, though? Why are they doing this? Enimwa is there, and she's there with Victor. We're hoping that they've been finding out a bit more about this. Enimwa.
Hi, Kojo.
Tell us what you see and what you've learned so far about this behavior.
Okay, well, we're at Kaneshie, we're at Takoradi station. And what happened is that we're on the side that goes from Weja, Dantoman, Sakaman to Abosokai, so heading into Accra. Now it's a 3-lane road, almost 4 lanes even. That's how wide the road is. But there's only about 1 lane that's available to passengers because the trotro drivers have taken over the road. This morning I'm learning that they've taken over the road because the traders have taken over the first lane, so they've been forced to move to the second lane. I'm here with Kweku Nyama. He's a station porter. He's been a station porter for 5 years. So I'll let him give us a brief idea of what is really happening here. Kweku, good morning.
Good morning, Mommy.
He's going to speak Tree, so Kojo, you may have to translate after.
Sure.
Kweku, is the Adena a higher 4 lanes, but you're sure 2 lanes in Kwana cars Gosu?
Okay, Mommy, problem is Omo Mutuadi or Pano, and I must have problem in Idaba. So I just say, if it's that station here, a station, a phone here, the bois, a ministry working. The about station and me at the end, and cover beyond so many years. And I say no, you roadside by them say workers, get the phone, a packman on Dinamay and Friday. I should have because Obia Duania, Obia no Diana to me, Obia no Diana. He has seen the party and pay for a bit my day. I'm almost you.
Now, I have me sure I had to say 4 lanes. So, if the traders now for 1 lane, trotro drivers also offer 2 lanes. But now, the police were a higher difference, and I say,
yeah, can I see police for the more had a high different, but absent and not on copy the idea. And you're moving up to your pet, and I say, Omuna Bar, and I say, Obia, what? That was in the police when you're back and Obia was obeying a Jumai. But Omuna Pria, can I put me and comport here home? Now, Yanapata, but Omuna Bar, and also almost answer.
But Kweku me lanes, no. Trotro for no, move for 3 lanes. Adena move for 3 lanes. Adena move to me organizing Mohonamafa. So 1 lane Kwana bus stop, number 1. But I said, yes, I won't say 1 lane in Kwana class using. And I trotro for no, I'm stopping or middle.
And I'm packing, stopping in here. Bus stopping was here. This is a cousin doing us a bad pass of what, or Chum could not. I sure say, I say in the lane,
So Kojo, what's happening is that the trotro drivers are not stopping at the bus stop. They are just stopping in the middle of the road and picking passengers. That's what's happening. So as I'm talking to you now, there's 2 lanes of stop trotro drivers, and they are loading smack bang in the middle of the road. And so moving traffic has only 1 lane. Let me speak to one of the traders as well about what's happening here. Good morning.
Morning.
Iti mene kweku kasano ose mwaba road niso ena mwafa 1 lane eyampa na
Ani dia yampa ebi mo abani mu bebre. Uka omu mfi. Nti aba ye nia na ebekofi.
iti munim se mwafa 1 lane
Ani mu pa ya we. Ya we. Obu ha ukasa kire na wontie. Esu dibi na mindibi na kwan na demu kakra. Ye nia ye se ne nkete bi nti ase. Eti se ba ni ye nia ye kofie.
inti anka ada na mu market no ana pavement no ana mu nya baby a mu beton ade o
Ebi wo pavement market ni e the other lane. Ye ni hospital. Ye wo this side. Ye Brekuma Central. Ye wo pavement. And ebi so wa ye ti na omo na ebi mu ko omo ani mu dodo. Wo ka kuro omo ntie.
inti wo problem ne se anka wo mu by trade kakra anka
Ya tra se pepe ma na ye fe. So di bi na mi ndi bi na ye. Na ye fi kwan asa.
well Kojo, you can hear her. She says, well, Dibina and Dibi, because, well, the road is for all of us. So
Basa na ye ho pavement ni ai ha ye. E kan ye ni a.
if you want one pamon,
Omo pamo ye.
na mo ye
Ye yi ye nyoma ni ye ko.
na the next day mo
Ya samba ni asamba gine mu sa.
is it the bena ebe die
Odi wa won ti ase. Eya ho me se so ba ni den. Na nko mu ni ati ase ni ese ne kan be boa ye ni. Oba ni e ni ai wo pavement ase ne nkete. No bi ata ni eja kwan na mo ma ke ni problem. Nko mu ha ye.
Kojo, that's one of the traders here.
Right.
I believe her name is Linda. And she's saying that, well, it is what it is, really, because they need to trade. So they've taken 1 lane of the road. But she's saying that she's been telling them that they should come back a little bit so that there's a bit more space. But they don't listen. Now, the police also come and they come and clear them away. So they pack their things, they go, and then the next morning they come again. She said it is a home tea, but it is what it is.
So anyone
here. Kofi, Pata, where they are? Okay, you see, I don't know more for 1 lane.
Yeah, but young far 1 lane. Now the answer, I just found a system. Don't share now your work, my children for your work, line, and yes, I need to my barrier. I have too much. Look at the person who come about. I just an alarm to my Mubia, the Ankanka, but you say,
if you find that teacher, ma'am.
Oh, what's a Yana, what's a municipal, no, what's a Abricon Central Municipal, Yana or Mubaha, what's the other door to be? What's a Abricon Municipal, and the other Mubaha, we are sitting at Kankaka. But you know, the end too much. You who are an assassination, who are an assassination, because you're talking about a big man. What's a buy no government because if you look over, I could send it out. And I'm on to a big man place at the second year. I don't know why it must be to be done. Stand up there. Don't go ahead to when I tell you,
yeah, police phone, one more Pamemo.
Oh, police phone come out here. But I come back on the bar, so when you want to talk a cancer, so Ghana for them.
It's a motor to car. Now, the next morning, when you Ghana
for them, what's a Ghana for the what's a Sweden or
it's a municipal assembly, Nana, Nesse, Mumba, Namoetna.
The municipal, what's a Yahada? They say, what's a hundred years or master? What's a Bibinia? On the Sebian say, I'm going to say,
at the young country. Sabia, who said, almost 2 years, Sabia, yes, you already did Katanga can never do, yes, Katanga. Ebinu nso so aso de na ebinu nso afa dabra tete no so ha sanity aso de no na ebinu ma ye okoka sia ya ono beta alaka se eja na wa chene ko wani bere.
Thank you very much. Kojo, that was Kofi Poku, also a trader, and it's a general consensus, that small, we all share the road. Now I have with me Superintendent Mr. Elvis Kadongo. He's a divisional MTTD commander for Kaneshi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So can you explain to us or start the story for us from how this road was almost 4 lanes and now it's actually 2 lanes and sometimes just 1 lane with moving traffic?
Well, the reasons are not far-fetched. The fact is that traders have taken almost about 1.5 lanes of the lane. And so the vehicles keep pushing inward. Of course, passengers must alight at designated points. And the outer lane of this particular road was designated mostly for alighting passengers. We have, in the past, cleared all these traders, not too long ago, including the footbridge, for obvious reasons, and to ensure that the traders are not here. The traders have the backing of the assembly to be here. And as a government party, we must not be seen to be fighting each other. And in fact, in any fight between the police and any government institution, the police are likely to be the ultimate losers. And so we find our hands tied behind our back, and we are only managing the situation, as you can see.
That sounds like you are caught between a rock and a hard place. But what's the way forward? What's the solution then? Because the total drivers have taken 2 lanes. There's a lot of traffic. I've heard stories of when people are driving, because of the slow-moving traffic, people are able to remove, the branding of the car names, the side mirror, the attachments, and all sorts of things. Now, the people that we've spoken to here have also said that when there's a police presence, the tractor drivers tend to behave. So what's the way forward with that? What's the solution for it?
Well, police is always present here. At least we are not able to be here 24 hours, but we have duty periods. And so up to about 11, the personnel would have to go and rest and come back around 2. And so once they are here, they are able to manage the traffic. But way forward, I monitored the regional minister yesterday, put together a plan. And I think that he tasked the assembly to ensure that they work in collaboration with stakeholders to enforce their bylaws. Once that is done, I believe we will go very far. Because if the assembly supports us, the other side, the opposite side of the road, we work together with the assembly to clear certain portions of the road. And they have always been there to support us to maintain that particular order. And so I think that it just takes a little effort of taking away the temptation to please people and to enforce laws. And then we will all be happy in this country.
So the assumption here is that the opposite side of the road falls under a different municipal assembly.
Yeah, that is Sub Metro. That is Okaiko Sub-Metro.
And then this side falls
It's
under.
Ablekuma Central.
Wow, that's very interesting. So one road, two different sides with two different assemblies and two very different approaches. So I will confirm that if you cross over to the other side of the road, there's order. There's not a lot of traffic and there are not as many lanes closed. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Superintendent Sadongo, we're so grateful to you. Do you have any last words for any of the trotro drivers listening or your traders or even the assembly?
Well, we are grateful for coming. Sometimes all these forms part of the education for members of the public. And once they are listening, I am only hoping that we will come to a situation where people will comply voluntarily without necessarily looking above their shoulders to see whether there's a police officer coming or not. What they are holding as driver's license is called certificate of competence. And it is required of them to know everything and anything that is done on the road, and that is not supposed to be done on the road. And so when we arrive at voluntary compliance, gradually, I'm sure we will get there. But there is a need for some collaboration from the assembly.
Thank you so much for your time. We're so grateful. Kojo, so this is a picture of what's happening at Kaneshie. We've spoken to the trotro drivers, the traders, and the police. And moving forward, it looks like there must be some collaboration with the assembly. We will follow up with the assembly to find out what their plans are to enable that collaboration so that we can clear the road and get the traffic moving.
Well, anymore, that's interesting. So, I mean, what we are gathering from everything you've described and from what the police superintendent Elvis Adongo told you is that is not a trotro station. It's a bus stop. They are supposed to simply drop people off and pick up whoever is standing there at the time and then move on. They are not supposed to stop and load.
It's not actually a bus stop. This is a road.
Oh, so there's no bus stop there at all. There's no bus stop there.
It's a designated bus stop, but nobody is waiting to get there to stop. The trotro drivers are stopping on the road, in the middle of the road.
Oh, right. So where this mayhem is occurring, there isn't even a bus stop. There are
the
traders.
Bus stop has been taken over by the traders.
Okay, so anyway, back to what I was saying then, because that was correct. There is a bus stop there. But that bus stop
somewhere on this road, yes.
But that bus stop has been taken over by traders.
Yeah.
So the trotro drivers are now stopping in the middle of the road. So there's a bus stop.
Yeah.
So,
there's a bus stop.
All right. So back to what I was saying. The trotros are supposed to stop at the bus stop and pick up passengers who are there and drop off those who want to get down and move on. They are not supposed to stop, wait, and load. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that is what is actually being violated. Everything on top of that is just a violation on a violation. The first problem is that the trotros are loading when they should be moving.
Well, yes, and the passengers are not standing at the bus stops either. They are standing in the middle of the road and getting on the trotro.
Interesting. But of course, if there's more than one trotro parked there, that means they are loading not just those who are present, but they are waiting for others to come until their trotro is full before they move.
So, Kojo, there's one lane for the parked trotros who are loading. Then you move to the middle lane, which is where the stopping is occurring. Do you get what I mean? So there are two lanes that have been taken over by trotros. One for stop and fill, and one for move and filling.
And all of that is illegal. The trading is illegal. The stopping is illegal. The moving on the lane that is for traffic is also illegal. Everything you are seeing there is illegal. And the police are saying that if they try to enforce it, they will get into a battle with the state institution and they will lose.
I mean, well, essentially, yes. But if you are here, you will, I guess, maybe clearly understand that the traders have to move for the system to work. And of course, the police are saying that they're having some problems with the assembly. The traders have told us that even when they are moved, they come back the next day.
That's interesting. Animwa, thank you so much for taking us to Kaneshie to observe this example of chaos and mayhem caused by Ghanaians. this is going to be certainly a topic for conversation very soon. I mean, it beggars belief. It beggars belief. The people themselves know what they are doing is wrong, but they say this is how Ghanaians are. That is literally what Kofi Poku, a trader, just said to us. That this is how Ghanaians are. As for Ghanaians, we are stubborn, he said. They have always been there. They have always been there. And he said, they cannot remove us. That's what the lawbreaker said to us. They cannot remove us. And he said, this is who we are as Ghanaians. Do you disagree? I am in such desperate need of somebody to convince me that what we have just heard is not the description of Ghanaians. I want someone to convince me that that is not our identity we have just heard. Laws being broken. One district assembly doing it right. Across the road, another district assembly doing it wrong. Each of them have district chief executives appointed by one president. Charlie, this thing. Anyway, we'll talk about it another time. We still have Kwame Sapong Asiedu on the line, helping us with education on COVID. We also have, and we're very honored to have him joining us today, Nana Kofi Kwache, a research fellow and doctoral candidate, and also an adjunct assistant professor at New York University. So we're going to come back to conclude that all-important conversation about vaccines. And we need to learn what the way forward is for Ghana after these.
Ojam, why you make quiet like that?
Oh, Charlie, I'll go do some POP, give somebody where the cornice is not fine, cry.
I always they tell you, see, for decorative roses and cornices, the solution be interface. Them have different imported cornices and roses in different designs and shapes. Installing them be so easy, and it go give your customer the finishing he wants.
Ojam, take me go interface right now before I lose this customer.
Interface Limited is the leading supplier and installer of finishing input materials for the building and construction industry in Ghana. Call us on 0274-999999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook Interface Limited GH. Instagram Interface.limited.
My sweetheart Rita, what's up?
I'm thinking of my future now. I want to be the next IT guru in the world.
Wow! Then let's go study at IPMC College of Technology. All IPMC courses are industry-oriented with hands-on practical sessions.
Wow!
IPMC has trained thousands of students from West Africa since 1995. With IPMC, you can surely be the next IT guru.
Oh, yeah?
Enroll to study at Ghana's best IT training school and learn any of our world-class IT education courses. Software coding and programming, graphic and web designing, networking and infrastructure management services, digital marketing, undergrad program in information technology, and more. With our enhanced learning approach, you have the option of studying online or in our lecture room facilities for classroom learning. Register today and get your free tablet and 60 gigabytes data for 1 year. Terms and conditions apply. For more details, send us an email to training@ipmcghana.com or call 055-555-2222. IPMC College of Technology, training the next generation of IT experts.
The cousin that hogs all the food. The relative who's always late. The brother who's always on the phone.
Hello, let me call you right back.
The niece who's allergic to everything.
No, thank you. I'm allergic.
The work buddy that fits.
800 million dollars. That is the cost to our nation in terms of accident. $800 million. That is the cost to our nation in terms of accident.
From 2015 to 2020,
about 13,000 Ghanaians have lost their lives through road crashes. From 2015 to 2020, about 13,000 Ghanaians have lost their lives through road crashes. From 2015 to 2020, about 13,000 Ghanaians have lost their lives through road crashes. From 2015 to 2020, about 13,000 Ghanaians have lost their lives through road crashes. From 2015 to 2020, about 13,000 Ghanaians.
This, I said, is unprecedented and it's unacceptable.
Anyway, a quick happy birthday to Efiba Asante Dakun, wife of Adum TV's Oman Hini and PR officer at Ghana Maritime Authority. Have a wonderful day. Also, happy birthday to Evelyn Achampong. She's a golden 50 years old today, and her husband Larry Achampong prays for her heart to remain golden in the coming years. It's the Super Morning Show on Joy, and we've just had a disturbing insight into how Ghanaians see themselves. They see themselves as lawbreakers who are stubborn and cannot do the right thing, even when forced to. And I mean, you listen to everybody who was interviewed by anyone. They are all doing the wrong thing and admitting it and saying that's how Ghana is. Kwame Sapon Asiedu is with us on the phone, actually on Zoom. And we also have, very grateful to have him, also in Ghana, Nana Kofi Kwache, research fellow and doctoral candidate, also an adjunct assistant professor at New York University. We're talking about vaccines. But look, before we continue with that conversation, I just want to pick your brains, the both of you, in the space of 1 minute, if you can limit it as such. What do you think about what we've just heard? What's happening in Kaneshie and what they themselves say is the nature of Ghanaians? I'll start with you, Kwame.
I'm laughing because it's sad. Is it not strange? Can we draw parallels to COVID? We went into December saying, mass gatherings do not cause COVID, and had a massive uptick. And people haven't learned. And we are going into Easter with people advertising getaways, with people advertising conventions, with people advertising crusades, with people not realizing they don't have to go to the beach. It seems that we are just a reckless joke. I mean, I just have to be frank. If you can get people who are breaking the law speak like that, then that's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, you summed it up. I wonder what you think, Nana Kofi.
Kwame kind of touched on a sentiment that we commonly share off the record sometimes. I think what you're seeing there really is, a situation where people have normalized the rule breaking, normalized the rule flouting. And it's not just because the people have normalized the behavior, but the lack of enforcement has also been normalized. People don't expect there to be consequences for what they are doing. And if you have that combination, obviously, when it comes to, like Kwame said, even things that really matter, like COVID, things that are life or death, like COVID, people still will not take it seriously. They don't believe that the enforcing parties are serious about what they are doing, and they don't see any benefit for themselves in abiding by the rules because they think they have to game a system.
Well, look, we're coming back to the COVID conversation, the real reason why we're having this chat today. We're coming back to that in a moment. But honestly, this thing, we're going to talk a lot more about it. Trust me, because this cannot be the nature of Ghanaians. And look, two different municipalities across the road from each other, each with a DCE, both of them appointed by the same president. So what does that mean? Does that mean that just anyone can be a DCE? Whether you do the right thing or the wrong thing, you stay in office? Anyway, all right, we'll get back to those issues in a moment. First, though, your favorite neighborhood supermarket, Spar City Dear, seeks to be part of that special family moment that you've been having or will be having this coming Easter. With love, they're offering you 30% discount on several products like wines, liquors, chocolates, beer, fruit juices, and so forth. Their only desire here is to see you have a joyous and memorable Easter with your loved ones. From the 26th of April to the 7th of May, so from now to the 7th of May, from the 26th of April to the 7th of May, walk into any Spar or City Dear store and enjoy up to 30% off your favorite products. They'll encourage you to now sit and prepare that Easter shopping list, knowing that your neighborhood supermarket has something amazing for you, up to 30% off a wide range of products. They welcome you into any of their numerous Spar or City Dear supermarkets in Accra, Dawenya, Chibi. Go there today to enjoy 30% off your Easter shopping. Be reminded, though, that City Dear Supermarket is becoming Spar Market. My Spar, my market. Terms and conditions apply. So our elders say that it takes a village to raise a child, but only if there is a child to be raised in the first place. Kokroko Charities is back at it again, and they are appealing for your assistance to donate more incubators to our healthcare facilities. So show compassion by dialing star 713 star 70 hash to donate towards buying infant incubators to save premature babies. 35 infant incubators have been donated so far, 65 to go in order to reach the targeted 100. Remember to dial star 713 star 70 hash on all networks to donate any amount. Your donation enters you into the Drive and Save a Life promotion by Toyota Ghana. A car has been donated by Toyota Ghana as the grand prize for the draw date. There are also other prizes like microwaves, freezers, and many more to be won. Dial star 713 star 70 hash. Do it now to support a worthy cause. The first draw takes place on Easter Monday, 5th of April at Accra Mall from 12 noon. Kokroko Charities, keeping hope alive. Now, Johannesburg is the only other city that doesn't sleep. The heartbeat of South Africa. Built by dreams and ambitions, this city will invite you to experience its rich history. But Joburg is not only history, it's Amapiano. It's the richest square mile in Africa. It's the bustling of the taxis taking you to Soweto for a Chiza Nyama. This city was made to wake up, shop, dance, and then do it all over again. You can revel in the high life in Johannesburg for 5 nights from as little as 8,200 Ghana cedis, including flights, transfers, and meals. Terms and conditions apply. Make Johannesburg your personal playground and feel the energy of the dream chasers. For this and more Easter deals, go to southafrica.net. South Africa, come journey with us.
Mama, who refuse to meet a social distance and wear ponano. All surface seminar, and sanitizer to fit fair, mental quick.
Okay, Kwame Sapon Asiedu and Nana Kofi Kwache are our guests. We're talking about vaccines, how to get more, and how to ensure that our population is safe, especially going into Easter. And we're going to get your final thoughts on this in just a moment. Right, this conversation is brought to you by UK Aid and Star Ghana. So, Nana Kofi, I want to start with you as we wrap up our final thoughts. Let's start looking to the future. Look, what's the fix for this? Right now, as we speak, if the president called you and said, Nana Kofi, advise me, what do I do next to ensure that we're on the path to get vaccines and not be left out in the cold? What would your answer be?
Well, Kwame's actually touched on in his previous submissions a lot of the critical things that we could have done, like I said, but that the opportunity to do for this current cycle of vaccines has passed. So the question now becomes, what are the opportunities we can take advantage of? And that requires us to be very, very attuned to foreign policy decisions that are being taken by some of these countries that have more than they need or have stockpiles that they're not using. The USA, for example, has about 30 million doses of AstraZeneca that they haven't started using right now. They donated about 4 million doses of that, about 2.5 to Mexico and 1.5 to Canada. And we know that there is currently a process in the Biden White House under consideration to allow some kind of vaccine grants on a humanitarian basis. They're looking at those as vaccine loans. Basically, they'll give you some of their stockpile that's unused, and then when your orders come through, you replenish them. That's something that's still being developed and still being formed out. But that's something I think we should pay very close attention to. And all its iterations by other countries like Canada, like the UK, as they begin to scale up their vaccinations, I might consider that. Because that might give us an interesting option there if we know that we are further down the line of vaccine supply, so we can borrow what exists and then repay when we get it back. So that's something I think we can look at. But the rest of the work really comes down to, at least for this cycle, for 2021, 2022, comes down to intense pressure on the foreign. So we have foreign nations here whose governments are blocking these vaccine waivers. Countries that were celebrating COVAX with us. I'll mention it, but many countries that were celebrating enough vaccines for 3% of our population, while they are reaching 30% and plus, we're celebrating with us while they're also blocking access to the know-how and knowledge that would allow more global manufacturing. That has to be called out, and that has to be called out at the national level, at the international level, at the continental level, to increase the pressure for some change there. Because without that, the short-term options become very limited.
Thanks for that. Thank you. Kwame, I'm going to ask you the same question. We've got 2 minutes to go. What would your advice be on the way forward?
I think Nana Kofi has said it all, but where he stopped is where I'll start from. The calling out must start. I mean, I have shared an article with Samuel Daming, and I did call out the European Union that they are bullying the China shop behavior, which started with the blocking of vaccines to Australia. It's just going to mess up everybody. So I agree with Nana Kofi that we should call countries like that out. If you look, the current World Trade Organization CEO, who is actually from Nigeria, has also called them out to say that countries which have vaccine technologies should either learn to share those vaccine technologies with countries who have, albeit limited production ability, so that they can produce these. The irony is that Pfizer and Moderna 4 weeks ago were meeting, and the letter leaked to actually increase vaccine prices because they said the pandemic was over. How they came to that conclusion? Yes, the documents are. I can always share it with you.
I would love to see those. My goodness.
Yeah, it was leaked by the BBC, and I actually put it out on Facebook. So I would send it to you, Kojo, after this. And how they came to the conclusion that the pandemic is over speaks to Big Pharma and their quest to exploit even in crisis. That is what, fortunately, Boris Johnson has put a spanner into with the AstraZeneca vaccine. And that is what lower middle income and lower income countries should push for. Because without that, where we are now, we've missed the boat of research and development and vaccine trials, unless, of course, we are looking at that in juveniles, which would actually increase the, the scope of the vaccination. So that's where I'll leave it.
Right. Well, I want to thank you both, Nana Kofi Kwache and, of course, Kwame Sapong Asiedu, for your enlightening inputs. God bless you, and let's talk again very soon. This conversation, Yes, indeed. This conversation was brought to you by the kindness of UK Aid and Star Ghana. Now, are you watching a flat screen HD TV? Is that what you're watching these days? Did you know that you can get it in clearer and brighter high definition quality, 5 times better than standard definition? You need to get yourself the new HD Plus decoder today from the nearest authorized dealer or any Electroland showroom across the nation and enjoy the feely experience on your HD TV like never before. Go to hd-plus.com.gh or call 0242 439-872 for more details. All right, so planning a bingecation, a staycation, or a famcation, or a vacation as Inimwa is planning. Whatever your plans, game stores have your holidays sorted with their unbeatable Eastercation deals. Get the Beko Steam Iron for only 110 Ghana cedis, or the Mainstays 12-piece stainless steel pot set for only 485 cedis. View more deals at gamestores.com.gh or go to your nearest game store. Deals are valid until the 7th of April. Terms and conditions apply. Now, Orca Deco's Easter Egg Extravaganza is back. And you know, last year they celebrated Easter behind closed doors, as we all had to. But this year, Orca Deco is offering you a smashing 15% discount off absolutely everything in the store this Easter. Yeah, you heard me. 15% off everything. So from Friday to Monday. Come and shop for more products on Contessere sofas and dining sets and garden sofas and accessories and carpets. I need some paintings. I'm going to go look for them at Orca Deco this Easter. Yeah, you heard me. 15%, okay? Toys, carpets, household linen, cushions, kitchen, bathroom, and decor items, all of it. Orca Deco is inviting you and your family and friends to come celebrate the season of Easter with lots of giveaways, discounts, and fun activities to make up for last year's Easter. Visit Orca Deco today off the Spintex Road in Accra. Their showrooms are open on Good Friday from 9:30 till